Assalamu alaikum, hello and welcome to the fourth video of Becoming a Brilliantly Equipped Super Teacher, Becoming a Best series, a production of East Meets West Educational Services. I'm Muhammad Shelby. Videos under this hashtag EMW Teach and Tips are dedicated to my fellow teachers and anyone who cares about education. They always give practical, research-proven ideas. Video 1 was an introduction to the series about classroom management that I hope motivated you to become a better teacher, knowing how important your role is. In that video, we first introduced rules and procedures, two concepts that the whole series revolves around. Before we start today's video, I want to make sure that whether you watched the previous 3 videos or it's your first time with us, that you understand rules and procedures. Simply put, classroom management has 2 parts, rules and procedures. In video 2, we give a clear example of both. We said that a teacher is like a police officer who applies rules or penalizes people when they do the wrong things. And like a doctor who sets procedures or tells people the right things to do. At school, we stop students from doing the wrong things using something called a discipline plan. We talked about a discipline plan in video 3. Now that we learned how to stop students' bad behavior, we need to talk about how to teach them the right things or teach them procedures. The topic of procedures is very broad, so it will take us 2 videos to cover this one and the next one as well. Today, I will share 3 things with you. What procedures are, how to set them and what to do when the students don't follow them, and I will share with you 3 must-have procedures. First, we need to understand the concept of procedures. A procedure is simply the method or process for getting things done in the classroom and in life in general. Even the simplest of things, such as using a cell phone, needs a procedure. Click the power button, then enter the password. To major surgeries that need complicated procedures and do's and don'ts after the procedure to avoid complications. There are procedures for approaching a traffic light, using an elevator, using a swimming pool, driving a car, cooking a meal, etc. If you think about it, there is a procedure for everything that we do in life, whether you notice it or not. Similarly, there are procedures in a classroom for everything. Beginning a period, quiet in a class, students seeking help, students moving, talking, making and breaking groups, sharpening a pencil, using the restroom, turning in homework, responding to an emergency alert, being late, being absent, and on and on. Every single thing you can think of those students need to do in the school needs a procedure. Let me ask you a question, my dear teacher. Are your students doing all these things right? Have you ever thought of teaching them how to do such things right? Yes, we need to teach our students how to do these seemingly simple things right. Let's see how. Before you set a procedure for the students to follow, think very well about the procedure. Break it down into doable parts, making sure to include all the steps and actions you want the students to follow. For example, the simple action of lining up for KG kids can include arms folded, voices silent, facing forward, standing on both feet, and standing behind the person in front of you. It's not enough to just tell KG kids to line up, expecting them to do all of these things. After you think about the procedure, you need to teach them to the students using E, explain, R, rehearse, and R, reinforce the procedure. Let me talk you through all 3. First, explain the procedure clearly. As I said, effective teachers know what activities need to be done and think them out before the school starts. To explain a procedure to students, you need to define the procedure in concrete terms. For example, we will learn the 5 things we need to do when lining up. You say to your KG kids, demonstrate the procedure by actually showing the kids how to fold arms. Use your own index finger to your mouth facing forward and pointing to your own feet and the person in front of you. Do not just tell them. Demonstrate the procedure of lining up, step by step. You can also post procedures on the wall, but don't depend on that, especially for the young ones. You need to explain the procedures verbally still. Do not stop here. The reason many teachers fail to get students to perform procedures is that they just tell the kids what to do, but never really get them to rehearse the procedures. That's step number 2. You must do what the soccer coaches do, what driving instructors do, what first grade teachers do. Have the learners practice what you want them to do. So, the second step of is to rehearse the procedures till they become routines. This rehearsal has 2 steps, supervised and unsupervised. In unsupervised rehearsal, the teacher has the students practice the procedure step by step, making sure every step is done correctly, gradually. And when the students repeat the procedure, it turns into a routine. Then the teacher notices that the students are effortlessly and seamlessly following the procedures without any supervision, even if the teacher himself is not in class. That is unsupervised rehearsal. The third step of is to reinforce the correct procedure and reteach the incorrect ones. If you see that the students are successfully lining up supervised, you praise them saying, "Thank you very much for following the procedure. Please do this again tomorrow when you need to line up." However, if you determine that the students need further explanation, demonstration, or practice, then that is what you need to do. Repeat steps 1 and 2 of till the students master the procedure. Whether the school year started already or not yet, the same steps to set a procedure still apply. Great, now you know how to set a procedure. What do you do when the students don't follow the procedure? Let me tell you. We know from video 3 that if a student does not follow a rule, you immediately give the negative consequence without stopping the lesson. However, this is not the case in procedures. When a student breaks a procedure, you do the following. Stop the lesson, call the student by name, then pause and ask him what the procedure is and wait for him or her to answer. You need to do so calmly but in a voice of authority. If you get the answer you want, ask the student to follow the procedure the next time and wait for confirmation of compliance. Then thank the student and continue the lesson. For example, the procedure is to raise both your thumb and index fingers to use the restroom. But the student, Ali again, raises his index finger only and says, "I need to use the toilet." This is how you should respond. Ali, then a pause. "What's the procedure, please?" And Ali says, "I need to raise both my thumb and index fingers." You say, "Ali, and can you follow the procedure next time, please?" And Ali says, "Yes, sir." You say, "Thank you." If Ali does not remember the procedure or does not want to tell you the procedure, you simply tell him. Ali, then a pause, always pause. "What is the procedure, please?" Ali says, "I don't know." You say, "The procedure is to raise both your thumb and index fingers, right?" And Ali says, "Okay." You say, "And Ali, can you follow the procedure the next time, please?" And Ali says, "Okay." You say, "Thank you." You don't want a discussion, an argument, or a response. Do this and go back to teaching. And all what you wait for now is Ali raise both his fingers to ask for permission. And once he does, you immediately give him permission. When Ali breaks a procedure, please don't say, "How many times do I have to tell you, Ali, to follow the procedure?" Because Ali can say 25. And you have only yourself to blame when the whole class will burst into laughter. Or Ali can keep silent, and that will make you even angrier with the whole class waiting for an action that matches your anger. Whether Ali answers you or remains silent, the situation will unduly escalate. I will repeat, the best thing to do when a student breaks a procedure is to unconfrontationally remind the student of the procedure. Now, it's 3 months down the road and Ali does not follow the procedure still. What do you do now? The correct answer is you continue to teach Ali the procedure. I assure you, procedures do work eventually. You just need to be patient. Let me share a story with you. Many years ago, I taught grade 6 students. I used many procedures with them, as you might imagine. Still, at the end of the year, not all of them were following the procedure all the time. 2 years later, when they were in grade 8, I had a cover class with them, and guess what? Most students started following those same procedures they learned 2 years back. They were raising both fingers to go to toilet, and the index finger to talk and the little finger to move, and a couple of them remembered where I kept my toilet pass. I was almost in tears. It worked, but just took some of them more time than others. Now you know how to set procedures and also what to do when a student does not follow the procedures. I will now give you 3 procedures that every teacher must have at the very beginning of the year. The 3 procedures I chose to share with you are important because they are the ones that you should start your first day of school with and apply every single lesson actually. The following excerpt from the beginning of a lesson has all 3 procedures. Please listen to it carefully. As a young teacher by the name of Aisha enters her classroom, her students are sitting down already working on something. They don't even notice her, and none of them talks to her. She takes the roll in 10 seconds without talking to them either and starts the lesson afterwards. Let me ask you a question, my dear fellow teacher. How do you feel about this excerpt? If you are a novice teacher, you won't really understand the complexity of actions in this excerpt till you try to apply it yourself. Only expert teachers can appreciate how difficult, almost imaginary, this excerpt is, especially that I said every single lesson should be like this. I will talk to you about how much effort Aisha put in to get every class to start like this. Let's take the first procedure. Where should the student sit? On the very first day of school, before the students came into the room for the first time, Aisha was standing in the way. She was holding a bunch of numbers in her hands, giving each student the chair number where they should sit. Aisha followed ERR. She gave clear instructions, rehearsed and reinforced. She said, "Sit in your assigned seat. There is a seating chart on the board to help you find your chair. When you sit, please fill in the worksheet on your desk. I call it the bill work. I will be with you in a minute. Thank you." And on the screen, there was a seating chart showing where the numbers are. Why didn't Aisha allow the students to come into class and sit wherever they wish? The first reason is to not allow those who don't want to be in her classroom to sit together. Don't we all know where those kids who don't want to be in school sit? In the back of the room, of course. They form a critical mass that is difficult to diffuse. By assigning seats, those kids are dispersed in the room. Once her students have settled down and are doing their worksheet called the bill work, Aisha goes around with a seating chart on a paper, asking the kids for the names and jotting them down quickly as possible. Why is it important to write students' names on the seating chart? First, it helps her know the students' names. Right from the first few minutes, she can confidently say, "Amina, keep working on the sheet, please. And Huda, tuck your bag under your chair, please." And students are more willing to listen because the names were used. Another benefit of using a seating chart is when the students sit in the same place every day, it will help her memorize all the names in a very short time, which helps her build rapport. When you do that, you will be perceived as the super teacher who remembers everyone's name and can make each student feel important. A third benefit is the ease of record keeping. When she knows who's sitting where, without having to ask him, she can quickly record anything she wants, behavior, participation, and so on, using the best wrapper or any other record-keeping system without having to argue with the students. To know more about the best wrapper, kindly watch video 3. So, the first procedure in our excerpt is to use a seating chart. The second procedure is to take the role fast. Having a seating chart will help you take the register in the blink of an eye, a task that can take an ineffective teacher a really long time. With the seating chart in your hand and the students sitting accordingly, you can look to spot the vacant chairs. Chairs 1, 9, and 17, here you go, Jamila, Amal, and Dua are absent. You go to the corresponding names on the best wrapper and mark the students absent in 10 seconds straight. What do ineffective teachers do? I once observed a class and it took the teacher about a third of a lesson to take the register. First he said, I will call the names out and you say present. Teacher, Tom, Tom, present. Teacher, Oliver, Oliver, present. Teacher, Ali, Ali, yo! The whole class burst into laughter. The teacher frowned and glanced at Ali and continued. The teacher continued calling names out, arguing with the students that their friend Benjamin is absent because he's not in the room. Taking the register, which took Aisha a few seconds, took this teacher more than 10 minutes. Dear teachers, do not involve students in role taking. Just use the seating chart and mark the students who are not in the room absent while the students are busy doing the bill work. And this takes us to the third procedure I want to share with you today, which is the bill work. The concept prime time comes from the radio industry, which means the time at which a radio or television audience is expected to be at its highest. It was borrowed in the realm of education to mean the very few minutes at the beginning of the lesson where students are most attentive, curiously waiting to know what they are going to take on that day. Ineffective teachers blow this precious prime time, taking attendance, arguing with the students, and shouting at them to take out their books and sit down. Effective teachers, however, have some work called the bell work ready for the students at the beginning of each period. And they start teaching this procedure right from day one. Bell work is a technique that helps the teacher start off on the right foot. What our best teacher, Aisha, did is that she gave clear instructions on day one that there will be work to do at the beginning of each period and that students should not wait for her to start that work. Because she is a migrant teacher, she moves between classes like most of you. She gives all the bill work to do for the whole week on the last lesson in the week before. Bill work can be anything that does not need direct instruction from the teacher and the students can do individually. It's important that it does not need to be marked by the teacher either. It can be coloring work, drawing a picture, copying spelling words, doing math problems with the answers provided at the end of the sheet, reading a few pages of a book, free writing, etc. So, the three procedures you need to start every lesson with are simply the students sitting according to a seating chart and starting doing the bill work before you come in. And when you, the teacher, enter the room, use the seating chart to take the role while they are doing the bill work. These are not the only procedures best teachers like Aisha apply in their classrooms. Procedures are the secret why effective teachers can get the students to do so much right from week one, while ineffective teachers who ignore procedures are still struggling to do something as simple as knowing students' names. Next video, I will share with you more procedures. Now, 2 quick questions I know some of you might have about the seating chart. Teachers often ask, can't we change the seating chart at all? The answer is, of course you can, and you should regularly. The idea is, on the first day, you need to disperse the students to prevent the critical mass we talked about. Afterwards, you change the seating plan in order to seat closer to you those with hearing or vision impairment or attention disorders, for example, or to seat the potential troublemakers away from one another. Another question is about what to consider before designing the seating plan. Safety is a priority. So there should be no dangling cords or obstructed exits. Also, traffic must flow efficiently, so no bags in aisles. Students, including the differently abled ones, should have safe access to the board, the computer, and the sharpeners, the lockers, etc. Also, students with impaired vision or hearing need to be seated in the front of the room. Desks should be arranged in a way that makes it easy to make and break groups. So you need to study the room in which you will be teaching before the year starts, if possible. So these were 3 procedures for the beginning of each period, and next video we will talk about more must-have procedures. Let's wrap up. In this video, we talked about procedures, the most important thing in classroom management. We explained what procedures are, and we learned that a teacher needs to think about the details of what he or she needs the students to do and needs to use or ERR to turn procedures into routines. For the students who need more time to follow the procedures, no negative consequences should be applied, just an assertive request to follow the procedures. Finally, we discussed 3 procedures that you should start every class with, and we explained why they're important. Do not underestimate what humble procedures can do in your classroom. Always remember that great schools are not the ones that do outstanding things. They are the ones that do basic things very well. Thank you very much for watching this video. I'm looking forward to seeing you next video, Procedures Part 2. Assalamu alaikum.